We have talked in the last few weeks about calculating carbohydrate, protein, and fat needs and how we figure out how much an individual requires. We're going to take a step back now and do some calculations to figure out how many calories that we need. And then we can base the information about carbohydrate, protein, and fat really on what those calorie needs and recommendations are. Previously, we've been basing it on what we're actually taking in, but now we'll figure out how we can make recommendations about what is appropriate to be taking in. So there's a number of different ways that we can calculate calorie needs. The Mifflin-St. Jeor equation and the Harris-Benedict equation both use height, weight, age, and gender to do the calculations. The Harris-Benedict equation in nutrition science, we have used that historically. More recently, the Mifflin-St. Jeor has been used pretty regularly. They're very comparable in the results that they get. We'll be working through the Mifflin-St. Jeor equation today. Catch-McCardle formula uses weight, body fat, and lean body mass, so that's another approach to doing the calculation if people have access to the information to know their lean body mass. And then, of course, using indirect calorimetry would be the gold standard for calculating calorie needs, not something that we always have access to. So if we can get that information, that would be the most accurate information, but in nutrition, when we're working with clients on a day-to-day basis, it is useful to have some formulas so we can get a general idea of what their needs might be. So we're going to go through the Mifflin equation. So the Mifflin equation will tell us the resting metabolic rate, so the calories that an individual is burning at rest. And then we take into account an activity factor to come up with a calorie need based on more activities of daily living and what physical activity is. So the formulas that we use, two different formulas for men and women. For women, we take 10 times weight in kilograms, and you'll see the calculation for that, which I'm sure you know on the right, plus 6.25 times height in centimeters, minus 5 times age in years, and minus 161. For men, most of that is the same, except instead of subtracting 161, we add 5. So the formula is just a little different for men and women. And again, this gives us a resting metabolic rate, calories burned at rest. So let's do an example. We have a 150-pound woman, 5'6", tall, 35 years old, and is exercising 3 days a week. Calculating her height in kilograms, taking 150 divided by 2.2, so we get 68 kilograms. Calculating her height in centimeters, 5'6" or 66 inches, multiplied by 2.54 gives us 168 centimeters. And we plug all the information into the formula, height, weight, age, into the formula for women, and we come up with 1,394 calories. Again, calories burned at rest. Then we multiply times an activity factor. So she's exercising on average 3 days a week. So we'll multiply times 1.375 to get a final calorie of 1,917 calories per day. That is the number of calories to maintain her current weight at where it's at. It is estimated that it takes 3,500 calories to burn a pound of fat. So if we wanted to lose a pound in fat in a week, you would need to lower your calorie intake or increase your calorie burn by about 500 calories a day. So that is the number that we would make that adjustment. So for this woman, if she was wanting to lose weight, we might suggest 1,417 calories to see a consistent weight loss of about a pound a week. This is an estimate. Again, indirect calorimetry is going to be the best piece of information if we can get that. When we're calculating calorie needs, we don't always have access, so we have to make some estimates. Then we take the information from actual food logs, from seeing what people are actually doing and seeing if they're reaching those goals. This is not an exact science. It's some estimates. It's based, the best information that we have from research of how we can best calculate using a formula. And then we take our day-to-day experience and say, okay, is this working? Are you satisfied? Is this more food than you need? Are you feeling really hungry on this calorie level? And then we can make adjustments to fit for each individual, really on a personal basis. But this is our great place to start.